Hey everyone, this is Expressless here. Thank you for joining another video with my wife. If you haven't seen the first video, link above, then definitely check that out. But basically, I'm a doctor in China, working here since March 2020, and waiting for my wife to join me on this journey. Been some issues because of COVID and recent or long-lasting border issues in terms of UK citizens not being able to come to China. So my wife has a flight booked in the next couple of days, and she also has to have a whole bunch of other things that need to be ticked off before she's even allowed to enter China. So her flight will consist of going from here to Finland to then China. Now, the Chinese government want two tests, which needs to both be negative. That's the COVID PCR test, which is a throat swab test, which is what we all know, and also another one, a blood test, which checks the antibodies to see if you've had a recent infection or if you've recently had COVID. And both of those need to be negative. They need to be done within 48 hours of landing in China. So, because the flight is a transit flight, you need to have one in the UK before departing from here to Finland, and then one in Finland where you'll be transiting and then going to China. Either the COVID tests are positive, then she can't go, regardless. But if they're both negative, then she can go to Finland. And then obviously the Finland tests need to also be negative. And if they are, then she can fly to China. And in China, as soon as she lands, she'll be whisked off on a coach to a quarantine hotel and then 14 days quarantine. Obviously, before that, there's a whole bunch of stuff. For example, she'll need to do a QR code based on the COVID test that she will have, and also her health declaration form, all sorts of other documents that are required. It's a very challenging time, very sort of stressful time, but she's going with someone else that is also part of our company. So hopefully makes it a bit easier for you. I don't know how you feel about it. How do you feel?
Very anxious. Very, very anxious. I think the last couple of days I felt quite anxious because the previous flight got cancelled.
Mm.
So having this next one and knowing that it could get cancelled at any time feels a little bit scary. But there's been no cancellation update so far, so it feels okay. But every single day that I wake up right now and it's like closer and closer to the date, I feel really anxious.
Mm.
Especially with the complications that we have at the moment, whereas like no one's really going on holiday. It's not like you're supposed to be at the airport. So I'm a bit scared that even if I go to the airport, they'd be like, sorry, you can't fly.
Well, it's at their discretion, right? They can just say whatever they want. Doesn't
Yeah.
There's no rule behind it. So this is the other uncertainty or issue. Yeah, so that's another thing. So in Finland, if you're tested positive there, then you have to quarantine there for, I think they said 10 days.
10
But
days. Yeah.
and most likely you will not be able to go to China or fly to China.
Oh, they'd
Uh,
send me back for sure.
I think so. Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, to be honest, I don't really know 100% for sure. But
Yeah.
as long as it's
It,
within your visa time frame, maybe they might do. But then that will go past the visa time frame, right? Yeah. Well, if you're in the time frame and maybe you do a repeat test and it's negative, then maybe they
mm,
can let you through. So. But who knows? I mean, you know, we're in the middle of this crisis, and to be honest, no one really knows until it
you
happens.
go. For me to go to Heathrow to Helsinki, and how long is the transit
Well,
for?
transit
The
time is
transit?
about 19 hours, so they don't let you outside the airport, only in the airport. They give you like some overnight kit, which I guess contains some pillow, towels, whatever. You can lounge around uh, and
19 hours. Yay.
campfire. So yeah, that's
Okay.
the transit process. But also, don't forget in that time you got to do your test. You got to do the health
Oh yes, you
declaration
said.
form and all that sort of stuff. So yeah,
And then en route to China, what is it? 12-hour flight from Finland?
yeah, probably bit less, about 10-hour flight, I think. from
Okay.
getting direct to Shanghai. And then when you
And
get,
what's the,
mm,
sorry, I was going to say, what's the procedure once you land? Because you would have gone through that procedure.
yeah, so the procedure
Like
that I
quarantine.
had were, it's all documented in this video above. Check it out, the promotion. But basically, you get outside, and it's not like a normal airport. You see everyone in hazmats, as the Americans say, which is basically, full
In
gear,
what?
hazmat, hazmat,
What is
hazmat,
that?
fine, hazmat. Um,
I've not heard of that. Oh my God, okay.
hazmat,
Alright.
the full infectious disease protective gear. So you see
Okay.
them, they look very scary, but basically you just got to follow the rules. There'll be people there who speak English because it's an international airport.
Mm,
You go to get your luggage, and after that, there's a separate queue. There's no checkout really, like there usually is. There's a queue to eat. An area where there's like lots of tables, and on each table there is an individual, and
mm,
they check your details, like where you're going. They speak English. They spoke English to me,
mm.
and get you
Were
to
they
sign
nice?
some stuff. Yeah, they were nice. They signed some stuff like, have you had a cold in the last blah blah blah? Have you
Okay.
had a fever, cough, whatever? But I think back then we were doing it physically there. But I think what they want, that process is going to be done during the health declaration form, which is happening before you arrive in China, right? So
Okay.
maybe you won't have that, as long as you can show your QR code of good health, whatever. Um,
Okay.
Maybe it's different. I don't know. But back then it was very manual, and you had to do that whole process once you had landed in China. Yeah, but I mean, I can't remember. And then after that, literally, it was like, okay, the next step was to go to another place and then register yourself again very briefly, and then you were allocated then to a quarantine hotel, and then you just had to
Okay.
wait for like a coach to take you
So
directly from the airport.
what about your colleague that's coming with me? Will she be allocated to the same hotel?
I guess, yeah, probably most likely, yeah. If you come in the same batch, they tend to just batch you together, from my experience.
Okay.
Yeah,
Whoa,
horses.
please,
Yeah.
I need to get to this man.
You see them. Well, I think once you land there, it's not too bad because there are many foreigners in Shanghai, and I've seen more and more foreigners like since I've been here. So
Mm,
it's not like they blocked foreigners or the extra rules on foreigners coming in and whatnot. So um, basically, your details say, you're coming here on a, you could say, a spousal visa, right? So as long as all my details are correct, which they are, then it's like, okay, fine. As long as you're negative for COVID and you pass the quarantine, you might need to just use some of your 4G data from your UK phone. Um, just pay extra for China roaming until are able to get a Chinese number, basically. So
mm,
contacting people is not normally that difficult as long as you have internet, and that's why
mm.
I told you to
That's the
get
main
the
problem though.
Wi-Fi hub, right? The personal
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
portable hub, which is Huawei.
There is.
So
Which is this one actually?
yes,
Is the Huawei hub.
which I really wish I had, because for 2 whole days I had no internet because the hotel internet was not working. I was complaining and bitching about this in my first ever video. 'Cause I was like, "What? This is China. How's it? I thought it was meant to be connected up." But anyway, uh, eventually my colleague got um, one of these hubs for me in about a day or two, so that really helped. But yeah, you have it before you even come to China, so
What is
should
this,
be a
30
problem.
gig for like £10 a month or something?
Yeah.
Which is not bad. Yeah, I will be documenting my whole journey up until I land in China, and then possibly afterwards for quarantine as well. So hope everyone joins in for that journey as well.
There will be
Cool.
updates going forward, and we'll keep you guys posted.
We shall catch you up soon.
Yes. See you soon, guys. Bye bye.
Ever since the last flight got cancelled, I've been having a lot of anxiety every single day. I would wake up and think something's happened. I would check my emails every single morning to see if there has been any flight updates, any cancellations. This has been every single day, and also like during the day as well, to have a look at the news, having a look at the website for the embassy. It's just not been great mentally. I feel kind of scared for this flight, but I think it's just a situation of corona. I'm not expecting to see so many people at the airport. I am just so worried that something will go wrong and I'll get sent back, or something happens, or I don't know. And this whole thing about actually leaving now, my parents, I was looking at my parents differently. I was looking at the things around me a little bit differently. Even just the random journey from my parents to my place right now, I was looking outside and thinking, oh, this is where I live. This is home. So it's hit me a little bit differently now than it did before. I don't really know if I'm ready, but I don't know if anyone's ever ready to move to another country. And especially when my partner left so quickly. He knew 2 days before or a day before and left. So there wasn't enough time for us to sit down and think, okay, well, what should we do? There was no time.